Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Premier Sim Gaming Leagues for round number 9 of Season 27 in the PlayStation tiers. This is the F3 tier, and we are at the Circuit of the Americas for round 9 of the Championship, the United States Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. Alongside me once again in the commentary box is Sam Thompson. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm doing good evening. I'm doing all right, and I can't wait to get underway with this one as usual. And USA, I've experienced it 3 times this week. Once on Thursday, which was a pretty entertaining race, I have to say the least. One on Sunday, again quite an entertaining race, and then today, where hopefully the pattern continues. And I don't know what the weather is at the moment because I'm still loading in. I'm just about there though, but I'm guessing by the sounds of it, it's a sunny day.
Well, I'll let you know what the weather is when I load in as well, which is always a great start. But hopefully it will be sunny. We have seen in some of the lower tiers, and we've seen in real life, there's always a bit of a risk of rain around the Circuit of Americas. And of course, that happens across a lot of different tiers. Last time out at Singapore, we saw a victory for Black Phoenix in the end, a late penalty for an Osier Joey, just costing him in the end, meaning he was not able to get onto a top step for the first time this season. Did still manage to get his first podium in second place. Alpha Faz, importantly, beating his teammate Lakitu on penalties for a second consecutive podium. Lakitu finishing 4th, and that was, of course, ahead of his title rival M-Short, who did qualify on pole position, but starting on those soft tyres proved to be a suboptimal strategy as he finished it down in 6th position in the end. What that means is M-Short is still leading the championship though by he's on 93 points. Lakitu has 74. Black Phoenix is now amazingly up into 3rd in the championship on 39 points. 19 points between the top 2 drivers then, Sam. 4 races to go. It's definitely still in M-Short's court, and in dry conditions it does look as though he's probably got the edge on most circuits over Lakitu.
Yeah, I think he really does. And if we look at this as well statistically this season, the only races which he hasn't won is street circuits. And I'm not going to really include Mexico because Mexico is quite an open sort of track anyway. But obviously Singapore and Monaco, very challenging, very tight, and all these tracks are challenging. Let's not forget that. But how tight Monaco and Singapore are, for example, and I think that really will benefit M-Short tonight. But I say that, but Lakitu does seem to have picked up a lot of momentum in the last couple of rounds, and I'm very intrigued to see how he does tonight, because if he really does put off a good result and M-Short makes a mistake in it, for example, it really is back on in this championship.
Yes, it is 16 points for a win, obviously, 1 extra for the fastest lap, so there's still 68 points up for grabs, so a 19-point gap really isn't that insurmountable, and I'm sure Lakitu will be hoping for a good performance. We've said already he can get rain quite often around the United States circuit. I saw it myself in qualifying for F11. Really tricky track as well. That the drivers seem to find it quite difficult around here just to get a good lap. That first sector in particular, very easy to invalidate.
Yeah, that first sector is pretty much a nightmare for most drivers, and simply like 2 wheels off the track in some area of that S section is just painful through there. But also through sector 2, some people do get it wrong. On the final corner, turn 12, in the entry and the exit, that some people go quite deep in and actually end up invalidating somehow. But other than that, there really isn't anywhere to invalidate around this track. Perhaps the second to last corner at turn 19, but that first sector for sure is definitely not people's friends. And also the start of the second sector at turn 9. That's also a very tricky one. I'm just watching Pat come across the line. I think he's the first one to finish his lap, and obviously goes quickest with a 29.3. That's a good start from the Williams driver, though, to get us underway. But I'm just very intrigued to see how many people really get their first runs in and how cautious they're going to be just to get a time on the board.
Yes, we will have to say that, of course. We've already mentioned Sector 1, you see quite a few warnings. In fact, in my F11 race, we saw someone get disqualified. I doubt we'll see any of the drivers do that here, but any late safety cars could really put you under pressure when it comes to getting some disqualifications. IGK Boss coming around the final corner. Let's see what sort of time he does. He goes slowest out of everyone so far on a 1:29.685. Alpha Faz just slotting into 6th place. Ginger, let's see what he can do as he comes across the line. It was a 144.493, but he had invalidated. Dynastics coming around the final couple of corners right now. Another one, turn 19, where in IndyCar you see the drivers running way over towards the right-hand side of the track. They do that here. They will be picking up a penalty. They've also got to be careful on the pit lane entry as well to try and avoid getting any penalties. And hopefully, if any driver does get a 5-second penalty, they won't decide to end up quitting the league. So Shaw is on pole position at the moment. Shapalele in 2nd. Simon 3rd. Pat, Boss, Faz, Dynastics at this moment in time. Lakito deciding to stay in the pits for now. Now, whether he's just saving any tyres, whether he invalidated an earlier on, but it's a fairly straightforward one-stop strategy around here. Soft to mediums, but the mediums might be at risk of puncturing. We saw that, of course, in season 26 here. I think it was Pitmat ended up getting a puncture on the final lap.
Yeah, and I think there'll be an interesting variation here, and I'm surprised so many people have gone so eagerly on the softs. There's only 13 runners here, and usually there's now sort of a tactic that's come through, as we see with Cornet, to go on the intermediate tyres there. So, and this is one of those tracks which is famously known, really, probably as one of the biggest tracks where, you know, you could do the reverse strat nice and easily and get to the line in first place or have a really good benefit from it. But unfortunately, I don't know, because rain also could happen here. We know rain is possible, and well, all the drivers are eager to go onto the soft tyres, which may indicate we could be seeing some weather in the race. But I think the main thing is really here is just to try and get into that top 10. But people outside the top 10, they're not hindered, in my opinion, and I think they'll just be kind of slow about it.
No, there won't be. Well, I think that alternate strategy, like you said, could be the key. Early safety cars, though, and any weather could just blow things right apart. And everyone in the pits at the moment, apart from the man we are on screen with right now, Coutinho, one of the reserve drivers here in this tier, has raced earlier on in the season, managed to finish 12th in Britain, failed to reach the checkered flag in Italy. So let's see what he can do then, as he takes us on a lap of the Circuit of the Americas. 5.513 kilometres, 3.423 miles, 20 corners, the 10th circuit in the United States to be used to host the Formula 1 World Championship race. And he sticks over to the right-hand side, heading uphill towards turn 1, a very wide entry corner. All converges on the apex, which can cause a bit of trouble. Then you've got this downhill sweeping section as we head through the S's, modelled on Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel at the Silverstone circuit. And you can see the car feeling a bit twitchy there as it comes towards the end of the first sector in a 24.2. Now climbing uphill as you come through turns 8 and 9. Be careful not to hit too much of that curve on the inside of 9. Flat out through turn 10, heading across the DRS detection point. Again, another open entry corner into a tight apex for turn 11. Just ran wide on the exit, not doing the worst idea there, just to stay wide and lift off the throttle to avoid getting a penalty. And then you've got this undulating back straight, where we will probably see the majority of the overtaking action, heading down into the braking zone just after the 100-metre board into turn 12. He's kept it nice and clean so far. Then you've got this stadium-like section where often moves that are done into turn 12 don't get finished until after they've finished through 13 and 14, and sometimes down the inside into turn 15 you can see a late dive bomb as well. Then we've got the triple apex right-handers, 16, 17 and 18. Full commitment in qualifying as you're flat out through there. Keep it over to the right-hand side of the track as you come flying through turn 19. Be careful not to invalidate your lap around the final part, and that is what Coutinho's done. And that is why he's headed into the pits. So frustrating for a driver when you've had a reasonably good lap, and then right at the end you just run a bit too wide, and that's pretty much lap over, and then tyres ruined as well.
Yeah, not probably the thing Coutinho would have wanted there. And right on the exit of his lap as well. It's so frustrating when you feel like you put a good lap in as well. Like, I think some people have had experiences where they've actually gone to like the final corner and they're literally about to get pole position or net pole position, which puts them in a good position, and they've ended up invalidating. And whether that was the case for Coutinho, I didn't see how good his lap was. But if it was promising and on for a pole position slot, I'm definitely sure he would be very frustrated right now, even though it's early doors. But it's a good momentum for him at the early start if he did get that. But because he hasn't, there's a little bit more pressure that comes onto him. But he's got 8 minutes to go, and I'm pretty sure he'll be getting another lap in nice and easily. But if he invalidates again, he could be in trouble.
Yes, everyone now looks like they're committed to the soft tyre, so I do wonder whether there is going to be any early rain in this race. Lars invalidating around the final corner as well. It would have been a 129.185, would have improved him up into 4th place. Lars is currently 5th in the championship at this moment in time on 37 points. He's only 2 points off of 3rd position, despite only having 1 podium, and that's pretty much why Lakito and M-Short are so far ahead at the top of the championship at the moment, because they have been by far the most consistent drivers.
Yeah, I think this is the same as last season, really. And really, it was just really the story of Kalsper's season. The consistency was so key for him last season in delivering that title. And obviously, he won so often. But we talked about last season, FRL Ginger was the driver who finished 2nd. And really, he only achieved 2 wins and only 5 podiums that season out of 14 races. And that just showed that last season there wasn't much consistency. And consistency does play more of a factor when it comes to league racing, and I think this is why I do like the PSGL system. I think there was a debate about it in the suggestions thing for next season about the overhaul of potentially the point system. But the reason why I really like it is the fact that if you win a race, yes, you are rewarded with more points, but not as significantly as real life, and I think that really does open the doors to say, you know, I need to be consistent to win this championship, and it doesn't reward you just for one result. You had to show this sort of similar sort of pattern and consistency over a certain amount of races to be considered a favourite for the championship, which is what I really do like.
Yes, I think in PSGL it works out as you get 3/4 of the points of the winner for finishing in 2nd place, whereas in actual Formula 1 with 25 for 1st and 18 for 2nd, it's just under 3/4. So it is a bit easier to just run away with things if you start picking up a few victories in real life than it is in PSGL. Ginger now coming around the final sector. Not had the greatest of seasons so far. He's 14th in the championship on 14 points. Hasn't scored any points since round 4 of the championship at the French Grand Prix. A bit surprising for the man who, as you've already mentioned, Sam, was pretty much Kalsper's main challenger last season, picking up a couple of wins towards the end of the year. We'll see what Ginger can do then. Can he keep it clean around the final corner? Can he get himself up into the 128s? Is his teammate Chapalele fastest at the moment? Goes into 5th position, just ahead of Alpha Faz. Remember, it's got Simon in 4th place at the moment on an outlap. He is now a full-time driver in the Red Bull team, so he will be at the Red Bull team for the rest of the season. And Coutinho now going out on the medium tyres, and it looks like the Racing Points are going for that intermediate strategy.
Yeah, that intermediate strategy is definitely not something that obviously they are trying to do, because obviously it's definitely not intermediate conditions, but it's obviously just to get a time on the board, I think, and also simply because, like we've already established, the medium tyres off the start, the medium soft strategy is probably more likely to do you bits than the soft medium strategy. Not only because the reverse sort of strategy is better, but also there's another factor to it, and that's simply because of what we've mentioned as well. If you do the soft medium strategy, there is a slight risk, very slight, but it's not like full risk, but it's a very slight risk you'll get a puncture at the end of the medium tyres, and I think that is what really why some people seem to think that starting from 11th is probably much better than starting, say, from 5th, 4th, or 3rd, for example, and maybe a podium for Lars, Coutinho, or Cornet, or even possibly a win. They'll have to have a bit of luck go their way, is probably what they're going to be looking for.
Well, you never know. You might just get that look up. A late safety car probably will send everyone else coming in for the soft tyres as well, if they've got any fresh sets left, of course, after this qualifying session. We are now on board with Pat in the Williams. He's looking for his first points since the Monaco Grand Prix, where he finished in 9th place. 7th place, not a bad lap so far on a 129.3. It is Chapalele on provisional pole position, then Dynastics, M-Short, Simon, Ginger, Alpha Faz, Pat, Lakitu and Boss, the only drivers to have set a time. You might remember at the Singapore Grand Prix there was a bit of contact between Chapalele and Simon. That was investigated by the stewards, and it was decided to be no further action, just a racing incident. Pat coming around the final corner. This could well be his final lap in this session. Locks up slightly into the final corner. That won't matter 1 iota. Goes up into 4th place. 128.947. Good lap from the Vortex Racing Team driver, he'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think Pat has shown glimpses that he can battle and fight near the top of this tier this season, and I think he's shown glimpses particularly in qualifying. And he's had a bit of misfortune in the race, I guess, but he's had a pretty disappointing season overall, and I'm pretty sure he will be looking to finish off with a high. But really, if you look at his qualifying results, Pat has actually looked quite decently in the midfield there, and really, if you look at his qualifying results, you would be surprised to turn around as here that he's down in 21st in the championship and behind a few reserves as well. So with that, I think Pat definitely needs to just start and kicking his game in a little bit in the race and trying to get a good finish to the season and get that momentum in his swing. And maybe next season, if he is lucky, I do know that this tier next season, which hasn't been announced, so I'm not going to announce it. I don't know what I've just said there, but anyway, but he'll be looking to get back in this tier next season anyway, and hopefully he'll be looking on to put a title challenge in.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. It's not been the greatest season for Williams, to be honest, in the Constructors' Championship. They are down in 9th at the moment, with only Alfa Romeo behind them on 11 points, and amazingly, 10 of them points for Alfa Romeo came at round 1 of the season when Name Changer managing to finish in 3rd place. Unsurprisingly, given the amount of wins they've had this season from both M Shaw and Black Phoenix, McLaren are on top of the championship, the only team above 100 points with 132. Renault currently on 99 points. And then we've got Mercedes, Red Bull, Racing Point, AlphaTauri, Ferrari, Haas, and as we said, Williams and Alfa Romeo, the final couple of teams. 1 minute 50 remaining. All the drivers on their final laps. M Short in 3rd, Lakitu down in 8th place at the moment. He's going to have to find something special.
I think Lakitu is now on a lap, so I think this is going to be really important for Lakitu now, this lap, and he wouldn't want to invalidate, because it looks like the guys behind him, being Lars, Cornet, and Joey, will not be able to beat Lakitu's lap, and always invalidated there, so he won't be improving. I don't think he can get to the line in time, and plus I don't think he'll even want to do that, because that will mean definitely he'll probably have to risk going onto a soft hard strategy, which is not preferable really, but yeah, I think this is going to be a bit of a confusing one for Lakitu now, because Joey on the mediums, I cannot see him beating the times that Lakitu set on the softs, for example, or whether he'll even try do that, and Lars and Cornet most definitely are not getting near those times, so Lakitu's putting himself in a very awkward situation here, where he's probably going to be down in 9th or even 10th here, so not the best sort of thing for Lakitu. How's M-Short doing at the moment? He's coming through the first sector, so early doors really to show anyone where they'll be at the end.
Yes, Chapelele's actually invalidated on his lap, so he won't be improving at all, currently on a 128.751. M-Short just heading now down towards the hairpin at turn 11. We'll see what Joey can do. He hasn't set a time at the moment. Admitted himself he should have won the last race. Was looking pretty comfortable, even with 3 seconds of penalties, but just picked up an extra penalty towards the end of the race when he really wasn't under a lot of pressure, and that did cost him a first win of the season. So we'll see if he can recover today in the Dassault Mercedes. Cedric unable to race as he's having a few problems with his pedals. So we'll just see what Joey can do as he comes around the final couple of corners. We're expecting this to be 10th position for him, but if Coutinho invalidates, he's going to be starting top 10 and on a set of the medium tyre, so that's going to be very interesting indeed. Checkered flag is out, and indeed he is in 10th on a 130.617. Let's see what M-Short's doing. He's slightly up through sector 2, but not really enough at the moment to challenge Chapelele. Can he find a bit more time though and get himself onto the front row of the grid as he comes towards the line? Indeed he can. It is a 128.814. Championship leader is in 2nd place on the grid at the moment. Boss comes across the line, goes up into 6th. Simon taking 4th place. Alpha Fels coming round the 16, 17 and turn 18 at the moment. He's got 20 points in the last couple of races, and when you consider he only had 5 points before that, he's really shown the form that we expected to see at the start of the season, but various absences have cost him slightly. He improved slightly ahead of Ginger up into 7th place. Lakitu looks as though he did try to set another lap, and he has done indeed. He's gone up into 8th place. Coutinho takes 10th position. Ginger has invalidated. Lars will be coming around. Doesn't matter if he keeps it clean or bins it in the wall. At this moment in time, he will be starting in 12th place. So it's a second pole position this season for Chapelele. First one since Silverstone, where he ended up failing to finish in the end in a crazy race as he was trying to make his way back through the field after a late safety car. Short, though, in second place, a good few places ahead of Lakito, and he will have slightly fresher tyres. That could be crucial.
Yeah, I think Lakito really needs to step up his game for the race, because down in 8th place when his championship rivals in second, that is not a good show for him. And Chapelele on pole again, proven to me why he should be much higher than he currently is this season. But he really needs to convert these pole positions into wins now. And if he doesn't, then he's not going to go any higher than where he is. And I think that's probably the main problem. Dynastics has come back a little bit to start third. Haven't seen him near the front in a little while. And Simon again starting in 4th place, which is quite strong. So I think it's an interesting grid, to be honest. And the two Dutchies, the two Racing Point drivers, Lars and Cornet, I think it's going to be a rather interesting one with those two towards the back, because those two definitely have appeared to have a bit of better form than what they usually had at the start of the season. So very interesting to see.
Yes, I mean, of course, we saw Lars and his teammate both went for the intermediates to guarantee they'll be starting near the back on a fresh set of tyres. I think they were hoping that more drivers would go for it, because starting down in 12th and 13th, they might as well have just stayed in the pit lane, had a bit longer, had a quick nap and maybe a cup of tea before the race started. Well, of course, Lars, he did win the pre-season race at Bahrain, another track, a bit like Austin, where if one stop works, sometimes though, it can be borderline with the punctures at the end of the race, but perhaps for two stop, not as powerful as it is around this circuit. It's gonna be fun. Chapelele, we all know his nickname, we've said it enough times, we're not going to say it again. You just get a feeling that surely at some point, though, things have got to come good for him. And maybe today could be the day.
Definitely, I think today is a good day. I do know he likes this track. I do know this is one of the tracks that he actually prefers to race on. So definitely that's a good plus sign for him already. And getting that pole position, he looks so confident as well. He looks quite clear of second and third place, only by a couple of hundredths, of course, but still, he looks quite confident going into it. And with 13 drivers on the grid, the chances of a safety car is the chance of it is definitely limited compared to what it would be, just down to the fact there's less people on the grid, which means that the likelihood is that there's going to be less incidents. But I think Chapelele will take this, and I think he'll go into the race rather feeling quite confident.
Yes, indeed. We'll have to see what he can do then around the circuit of the Americas. 5.513 kilometres, 3.425 miles. First used in Formula 1 in 2012 with 2 DRS zones. And it is that one down towards turn 12 where we will expect to see the majority of the action. Let's look at the tyres that everyone will be starting this United States Grand Prix on. No surprises there. Top 10 on softs, 11th, 12th and 13th on the mediums. Exactly what we would have expected.
I mean, it's no surprise. I would have been very surprised to see Joey or Lars or Cornet go onto the hard tyres. And obviously the top 10, they're on the soft tyres anyway, because that's what they qualified on. I'm intrigued to see though how the soft tyre runners at the front do, because obviously Chapelele, for example, he's got the clean air, but he's got a raging M-Short behind him, just looking to wrap things up a little bit further towards the end of the season. However, M-Short definitely probably is acknowledged right now that his closest rival, and probably only championship rival at this point, is all the way down in 8th. And by Singapore standards, we all do know that Faz is just not going to let Lakito pass, because Faz has actually put up a good fight the last couple of races against Lakito. Hasn't been the most teammates of teammates, and I think that is a really interesting dynamic there that we had to perhaps look at, is that these two, although they're teammates, they are going pretty much for glory for themselves. And I think that really is going to probably play out towards the end of the season. But M-Short, he doesn't have a teammate tonight at all, for whatever reason. I didn't really check the reason or whatever reason it is. But Black Phoenix, he's not here tonight. So M-Short's all on his own if there is going to be any sort of team game going on between the two Renaults.
Yes, we've got some support for Lars in the chat from Casper Janssen, of course. F1 esports driver. We'll get to see what the Racing Point can do from 12th position. What can our championship leader, though, do from second place? We'll find out in 28 laps' time. We've got 5 lights. And we're underway for the United States Grand Prix. What are the starts like? It seems like a pretty even start from the front row. Chapelele, though, is going to be well clear on the run down towards turn 1. And M-Shot's almost getting a bit mugged here. He's getting a bit squeezed by Simon and Dynastics. Dynastics is maybe having a slight chance of being able to go all the way around the outside. He's not going to be able to do. Faz has had an incident in the background. He's dropped a couple of places, but looks to be able to carry on. But it is Chapelele, M-Shot, Dynastics, Pat getting ahead of Simon there, who found himself getting squeezed ever so slightly. Boss is staying in 6th place. Ginger moving up a few places. Coutinho not with the greatest of starts either. And Joey, Lars and Cornet all doing a pretty good job on those medium tyres on the alternate strategy. So that is an ideal start for them. But as we've got a car round, and that is Pat. Round at turn 11. He is fading in the wrong direction. There's a bit of Alpha Tauri flying off as well down the straight there. And I've got a funny feeling that is going to be off Ginger, because I don't know where Chapelele could have lost a bit of his front wing, because he's in the lead of the race. And there we go, Ginger is missing the end plate on that left-hand side as Lakitu sends one on the inside of Joey into turn 12. He is determined. He is not hanging around at this moment in time. He's got ahead of his teammate, obviously, in the spin. Actually, I think he lost the place on the start to Ginger. Now he's got ahead of Ginger and back ahead of Joey as well. And Lars fighting with Joey here. These two aren't relaxing on these medium tyres whatsoever. Cornet all over the back of Ginger, who's going to have to come into the pits with that front wing damage. He's losing so much time at this moment. I think Pat's got away without any damage. In fact, he's gone all the way around the outside of Coutinho there. I'm not sure whether he'll be allowed to keep that position, because he definitely wasn't on track when he made the move. Chapelele, though, in the lead of the race, and M-Short just about holding on to second place. I imagine that got a bit nervy into turn 1 for our championship leader.
Oh yeah, free wide into that corner, and I think the Red Bull tried to send it down the inside, but because of the game's physics, the Red Bull would have been the spinner. But obviously in real life, we probably would have seen M-Shaw spin, but luckily there weren't much contact to really feel much, which was good. But M-Shaw at the moment, he'll be happy that he's got away with that somewhat, but he needs to keep with Chapelele, because the straight coming up, especially now, on the next lap, this is on lap 3, not lap 2, because it's saying lap 3, but it's actually lap 2. But if he doesn't stick in the DRS, M-Short, he's in significant trouble with attacks from Dynastics, and I'm pretty sure Dynastics would want to just try and get away as much as possible, and try and make up as much as possible on these soft tyres that he's got at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the Ferraris, both himself and Benny, who's not here tonight, have shown some good pace in qualifying, and on occasions have shown good pace in the race. But Dynastics' best finish all season was 7th at the Italian Grand Prix. In fact, he's only scored points in Australia, Italy and at Russia, so things haven't gone well for him in the races. But we have seen him up near the front more and more as the season's gone on. Maybe just getting a bit more comfortable. All the cars, even though they're identical, sometimes they do of course feel that ever bit slightly different. Pat all over the back of Alpha Faz as we are now onto lap 3 of the race. Of course, Pat and Faz both trying to make their way up the field. So will we see them with the first drivers to pit, maybe even pitting really early and going onto the hard tyres if they feel like they are in a bit of a DRS train? Onto lap 3 of the race. So the front 3 drivers look as though they have pulled away from Ross ever so slightly. And Simon, who's already got a 3-second time penalty, as is Coutinho. Simon in the Red Bulls, not exactly putting the Williams under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, he seems to be losing a lot of time, perhaps losing a bit of confidence as well going forward. So I think there's a real issue from that side, and I think Simon needs to pick it up a little bit. Lakitu's a little bit back on his pace as well, but Lakitu just seems to be sticking just in and around there, just a little bit fine. But Simon needs to pick up the pace, because Boss is getting away from him nice and quickly. But it's good for the leaders at the moment, because Joey is not exactly being helped through this, since he has already dropped out the DRS of the car in front. But I think he'd be happy in his position at the moment. And Chapelele, I'm sure he'll be absolutely chuffed as well, but he has got a raging McLaren behind him, and if McLaren does tend to launch an attack, I'm sure he would like to just keep away from him a little bit more.
Yes, we did see a bit of an attack there actually from Lars on Joey. It didn't pay off, but the one that Faz managed to do on Corday definitely worked. So that is the Renault now up into 9th place. Still proving that those soft tyres have got a bit of pace in them at the moment at this point in the race. We'll see if he can maybe quickly work his way up through the order, whether he is going to struggle. In fact, Pat there sent one on the final corner, on corner. He's going to have DRS either way, but a very opportunistic move there by Pat. We just caught the tail end of that. Those soft tyres not doing too bad at this moment in time. So Pat in 10th place, Faz in 9th as they try to recover their way up through the order. M-Shot though still in 2nd place, still behind Chapelele, probably staying a bit further back through sector 1 because that is where the dirty air really does affect you through those S's.
Yeah, and crucially for Joey, and I think this is what cost him last week, of course, the race win. He's already got himself a penalty, and this is what the problem about this track is. It's very easy to pick up warnings here and get penalties at this track. It is probably one of the worst on the calendar. So really for Joey, not good news for him. And I'm sure Lars would just see that and just say, I'll just stick with your DRS at this point because it doesn't lose me any time. And he's just going to sit there for now. But for M-Short, he is getting closer, and through the first sector, I believe you just said this anyway, but through the first sector, he does seem to bail out a little bit because of that dirty air. And now through the sector 2 and sector 3, he just closes in a little bit, but it's just not enough though there to really look at an ambitious move on Chapelele just yet. For Dynastics, he's not close enough to launch an attack on M-Short, considering M-Short will have DRS as well on this lap. So it's still just going to be a little bit of a train for now, but I wouldn't be surprised we start to see overtakes very soon.
Yes, I don't think if M-Short has got the pace, I don't think he's going to want to be stuck behind Chapelele for too long. It's still very early days on the race. We are only on lap 4. He's ahead of Lakitu, and that's his main championship rival. In fact, I'm fairly certain after this race, with unless Lars gets a good result, I'm fairly sure after this race it is going to be mathematically only a 2-horse race between M-Short and Lakitu going into the final 3 rounds. We've got Mexico next week, then Abu Dhabi, and then the Japanese Grand Prix finishing it off in early March. Ginger down in 13th place on his own at the moment after his pit stop. He's already got a penalty. Coutinho has 6 seconds. Joey Simon and the AlphaTauri have 3 seconds at the moment. So the entire grid in an AlphaTauri sandwich. Chapelele just doing a good enough job at the moment to keep M-Short far enough behind. Likewise, Dynastics not able to get close enough. We've got a DRS train, but it's a very elongated DRS train at the moment.
Yeah, a pretty long one, but it just seems to be quite extended. We don't know actually if it's going to stick in or not. I think that's the differences here. I mean, we expected obviously the medium tyres at the moment to be a little bit off the pace compared to the soft, so that's no surprise. But I've been quite surprised about Boss's performance this season, really, to be honest, considering that he is actually in the Challenger Series, isn't he, for F1 Esports, and he's probably not prioritised it, which obviously probably is the most logical excuse, but here he's just dropping back a little bit from Dynastics. I think he's just picked up DRS there, but he's just about sticking into it when it's most necessarily needed, which is not helping Simon and also not helping us because we don't seem to see any overtakes. But it seems like Simon has regathered himself a little bit, and he has started to catch Boss bit by bit, and hopefully he can catch up enough. And if Boss makes a small mistake and goes out of the DRS, we will see that as a battle as well. But no real battles really going on because of these trains, and M-Short doesn't seem to be attacking Chapelele too much right now. And I think this is just more of the first stint, where they've just got to conserve, really, to make sure that the tyres can make it to the end.
Yeah, this is definitely something we see a lot of on the F1 games. I think Lakitu has had a major moment in the first sector somewhere, well, in that section of S's, because he was about 2.5 seconds ahead of Joey. That's definitely not 2.5 seconds on your screen at the moment. The Mercedes down the inside, on his way down towards turn 12, on the brakes. Can Lakitu try and hold it off around the outside? And I think as much as he tries, he's not going to have the grip at this moment in the race. So Lakitu, he'd already dropped a couple of seconds behind the Red Bull of Simon. He's now dropped even further down the field. He's behind Joey, down into 7th place. And Lars, he might be all over the back of him soon. Those soft tyres, especially Lakitu's, let's not forget he did an extra lap on them in qualifying compared to everyone else. So they've done, if you include your out laps, he's done 7 or 8 laps easily on those tyres at the moment. I don't think it'll be too long before he comes into the pits. And there we go, Lakitu is into the pits. Surely though, surely this has got to be a set of the hard tyres, not the mediums.
I think Lakitu is really, really bottled this one. this weekend because simply put, his tyres going that extra lap has really hindered him. Usually you do see pit stops start to come in around lap 12, lap 13 time. Maybe try to extend it to lap 14, but usually you'll see them come in about 3 or 4 laps times usually to go onto the medium tyres. And I think the problem is though really for Lakitu is simply because he just went and did he done an extra lap on those soft tyres, and because he done an extra lap, he's just lost complete pace to the leaders because of how significant the grip difference is here, lap per lap, and that's what's cost him really, and perhaps probably not even in a shout to really get any sort of major points unless anything like a safety car happens and interrupts that.
Or maybe some rain. We were wondering why everyone qualified on the soft tyres. It looks beautiful sunshine at the moment in Austin, quite different to what's actually happening in real life. I think I checked earlier after the meeting was over yesterday, it's actually about -5 degrees centigrade at the moment in Austin, and we thought we were having it cold in the UK. But Lakitu, Pat, and Coutinho have all gone for a set of the medium tyres. They're going to have to get 22 laps out of them. That is going to have to be a bit of a struggle. They are really going to be in puncture territory towards the end of this race, unless they come in for another pit stop. It is only an 18-second pit stop loss around here, so they could easily go for the softs at the end. Maybe everyone will have to come into the pits if we get some rain. We'll have to wait and see how things are going. Back towards the lead of the race, though. Shapalele still in the lead, a quarter of the way through, then 6 tenths ahead of M-Shots, Dynastic and Boss not too far behind as Coutinho picks up another penalty. Simon has just dropped back ever so slightly. Then you've got the battle for the leaders on the alternate strategy. Joey in 6th, but with a penalty. Lars currently 7th without one. And Faz definitely dropping back ever so slightly, suggesting that those softs have seen their best.
Yeah, I really do reckon that the softs are really going to start going down now. And obviously we saw with Lakitu, he was on the same pace as the medium tyre runners last lap. And I think this lap will represent really if those softs have gone off compared to the medium tyres. And I don't know if Lakitu suffered a bit of damage. It didn't look like it, but he really dropped off really much more than what I would have thought to the rest of the runners. Like, it could just be the fact that he dislikes this track, but I mean, I don't know about that one. He just really did not find his way on those soft tyres, it looked like, and we're seeing the penalties come through now. Joey, Simon, Boss, and Ginger and Coutinho have all got penalties. I think Coutinho has actually got 6 seconds of penalties now as well, so they're starting to rake up a little bit, and I do expect to see a few more drivers get them. But at the moment, it does look like there is going to be a slight sort of crossover point where the medium tyres are better than the softs now.
Yes, and those that started further up the field on the soft tyres, the top 5 at the moment, staying out on the 1 to lap 9 at the moment. That's about when you'd probably expect, if you're starting on a set of older soft tyres inside of the top 10, it's probably when you'd expect the drivers to think about starting to come into the pits, just to be a bit more safer on that alternate strategy. In fact, Coutinho has 9 seconds of penalties at the moment, so he's at risk of getting disqualified unless he starts keeping things a bit cleaner. Simon and Ginger on 6, Boss and the man you can just see ahead of Lars at the moment, Joey, on 3 seconds at this moment in time. Lars all over the back of Joey, just going a bit wider through 8, try and get a better exit through 9 and 10. On towards the hairpin at turn 11, you can just see Simon going through up ahead in the front of the picture. Now is this a chance for Lars? Can he get the move done on the DRS? Losing a bit of time in the dirty air, but he has got a fantastic exit out of turn 11. I think this is going to be a move. He's going to try and take it the long way round the outside. He's ahead before the braking zone, and that was a fairly straightforward DRS pass here at Austin. Lars now up into 6th place. We'll see if he can start catching up towards those front 5 drivers.
Yeah, I think that's really helped Lars actually in his pursuit of that, getting past Joey. And Joey wasn't exactly a slow driver ahead of him. Not at all. These two have been battling and working together in some sense. But I think now with that free air for Lars, he's not in the dirty air. Long corners like this one that he's just gone through, and including sector 1, it's going to be so much beneficial for him now because he doesn't have that. And he has seemed to clear Joey quite quickly as well. So he'll be just probably looking now just simply to get away from that and just try to make himself a reasonable gap enough to perhaps look at him getting on the podium towards the end of this race.
Yes, and those front 5 drivers have all come into the pits. A very interesting strategy though. is the Williams that is now in 8th place. Boss has gone for another set of the soft tyres. Now, that's surely there's some rain or something happening in this race, because I don't see, in the position he was in, why on earth you would go for the softs.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. That's quite a strange one, and that is why I thought Lakitu's was a bit bizarre to come in quite early, but he's the only one to come onto the softs, boss, which suggests to me that he's obviously been told that rain's in 10 minutes or something, I'm guessing. So if there is any rain coming, it must be, I would have thought, within the next 10 laps, because there's no way for me Boss is going to really try and sacrifice a bit more than 10 lap old soft tyres, because we've already recognised how much they seem to go off towards the end of their stint. So this could be a rather inspired move from Boss, or this could be just a move that hasn't gone down well. And with Lars leading right now, if there is rain on the way in the next couple of laps, he'll be looking for it to rain around lap 16, lap 17, or something. Maybe a little less than that, like lap 13, lap 14. So on the medium tyres, I think there might be a little bit of trouble for Lars, because obviously the rain will take a little while to come down heavy enough to move over as well, because this track and everything, the tyre temperatures, they do get hot on hotter nice and easy. So it's going to take a little while to convert over if there is any need. But Boss has actually come into the pit, so obviously he's made a mistake on the strategy by the sounds of it. So maybe our claims are wrong with that one then.
Yes, just ignore everything we've been speaking about for the last 90 seconds. Boss has made a bit of a strategy error. He's put a set of softs on by accident. He's come into the pits and retired from the race and left the session. So we are down to 12 drivers at the moment. We've not had any retirements out on track, and it is Lars in the lead of this race, 7 tenths ahead of Joey. He himself is about 7 tenths ahead of Corney, and then Shapalele 7.7 seconds off the lead of the race. In the net lead though, if Lars did pit at the moment, he'd come out behind Pat, but ahead of Alpha Faz, losing about 18 seconds in the pit stops. It will be lap 16, lap 17. Those are the typical pit stops though for a one-stop medium to soft around this circuit. M Short just looking as though he's showing himself in the mirrors of Shapalele, maybe trying to cause a bit of pressure, but with the mistake from the strategy on Boss, these drivers that are now 4th, 5th and 6th have really pulled away from the rest of the field. They're looking pretty good for a podium.
Yeah, they're looking very, very good for a podium right now. These medium tyre drivers definitely, but we've got to really think about Shapalele at the moment. He's 7 tenths clear of M Short. M Short has got Dynastics quite close behind. If Shapalele could get out of the DRS of M Short, it could be quite a positive one. Also with Cornet, if Cornet does seem to lose a bit of pace towards the end of his stint and Shapalele somehow catches up, or makes a mistake alternatively, I think this will be a rather interesting battle for the leaders, because at the moment Shapalele looks clear of M Short, but Dynastics is quite close to M Short, so it's going to be very, very close for those three going into it, and there's a huge gap between those three and everyone else all of a sudden, because everyone else has made mistakes or has already pitted twice. So really, it's a battle of 4th, 5th and 6th versus 1st, 2nd and 3rd at this point, and I don't see it being anything other than that.
Yeah, Simon has unfortunately left the session, and I think that might... Well, it was either he accidentally went into the pits or he left the session and his car went into the pits. He's now down in 12th place, so unless he manages to get in, he won't be scoring any points. Joey just missed that. Joey's been able to squeeze his way past Lars, so the Mercedes now back into the back into the lead of this race. Shapalele obviously still with the net lead, and that 7.7 gap a few seconds ago is now all of a sudden 5.5 seconds. He's really closing up and dragging M Short and Dynastics with him. That's the thing, M Short can't afford to just go for a move, because if he makes a mistake and knocks off his front wing, A, that's really stupid for the championship, but even if he just goes a bit deep, Dynastics is going to be all over the back of him and might be able to steal that position.
Yeah, I think M Short right now, the best thing to do is just stay in the DRS. I don't think he would attack Shapalele. He knows the 2nd place, if it is going to be 2nd place towards the end of the race, he knows that's going to be a good result. He knows that's not going to affect him too much, and in fact, it's probably going to be a better result than anything, really, just to get that 2nd place. So he's just going to... I don't think he's going to attack Shapalele. He's just going to maintain the same pace he's got right now and make sure that Dynastics cannot come call him. But I say that, but Dynastics has got double the ERS of M Short. which could be a bit of a concern for the McLaren driver if the McLaren driver doesn't start saving. Shafalele, he has 60%. He's not been pushing upon that too much. He's just been minding his own business and getting to what he needs to do, and he's doing a good job with that right now.
Yeah, so you can see how close they are to the front three drivers at the moment, and that is especially good job from Shafalele when you consider he's not got the DRS, so to have about 35% more DRS than the car behind you, which has also got the drag reduction system, just shows that Shafalele is doing a fantastic job at this moment in time. Lars not able to get ahead of Joey. They've still got another few laps to go realistically if they want the softs to be in good condition towards the end. And I think Shafalele, M-Short and Dynastics are just going to catch up to the back of these front three. At the moment when they pit, they'd all come out roughly around where Alpha Faz is at the moment. So he's currently in 9th place. So when these drivers pit after what's happened, of being 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere in that position, Coutinho and Ginger currently battling for the final points position. Ginger not giving up on this place at the moment. He's committed to a 2-stop strategy, so I think unless we see some retirements up ahead, he's not really got a prayer of getting any points. And there we go, Coutinho driving away ever so slightly. He is now up into 10th place, back towards the lead. Lars in the dirty air, Coutinho picking up another time penalty. Maybe Ginger has actually got a chance of getting some points if Coutinho keeps up racking up the penalties in the way he is at the moment. Lars just sticking behind Joey, lap 14 out of 28, pretty much half distance at the moment. Corney not really able to attack, and I wonder if Corney's going to think maybe just pit a lap earlier and get track position, because those fresh soft tyres compared to old mediums, he'll comfortably jump Lars and Joey.
Yeah, he will. However, the main problem is these soft tyres, when they go off, they really do go off. And I think we discovered that really with Lakitu in a way. But I think really doing that at this point is a bit too early. Perhaps pitting in 2 laps' time would be the best. But for Cornet, I'm not against him doing something like this, though, pitting this lap. Because if he does pit this lap, he will likely get the advantage in the jump on both his teammate and Joey. And he looks desperate enough sitting behind Lars there, and he has seemed to close in of his teammate and Joey, of course. And obviously, they don't want to see the mirrors of Shafalele, M-Short, or Dynastics for too long, right behind him. And this is just going to end up being a little bit of a train now, as there we go. It's a 6-man train. All of a sudden, the Shafalele enters it, just about into the second sort of thing, but into the first sector, I do reckon now we're going to see a 6-man train. And I think for Shafalele, a little bit of concerns start to peak in a little bit, knowing that 2 teammates haven't pitted, so he's got to deal with at least one of them, the likelihood is, in the next 2 laps.
Yes, he has, and Coutinho is into the pits. We did see him drop behind Ginger. He's actually retired in the pits, so with Simon still being disconnected at the moment, we're pretty much down to everyone who crosses the finish line will score a point in this race. So there's a bit of a motivation if you're at the lower order just to carry that little bit on at the moment. Dynastics has picked up a 3-second time penalty. That could cost him to Joey, Lars and Cornet later on in the race, as they will be catching up quite a lot. In fact, Dynastics just catching up to the back of M-Short here. Not going to close it enough, though, to have a move into turn 12. And likewise, Shafalele is not close enough to the back of these front 3. He'll be desperate for at least one of them to come in on this lap. We know all 3 won't come in, because that'll obviously cost Cornet so much time with the double stack and Lars. And is Shafalele going to try and send one down the inside into turn 15 here? That's a bit of a brave move when you know these drivers are yet to pit, but I think he's that determined to not get stuck behind all the way round the outside. Very brave move to not get stuck on the marbles there. Shafalele, he wants his victory, and he's up into 3rd.
Yep, and Cornet into the pit center. So this actually unleashes Dynastics a little bit here, because Dynastics got very close to the back of M-Short. I don't know if he's still going to go for it this lap. I think he's just going to stick behind for now again. But Lars goes up the inside there, late on the brakes there. Doesn't quite work, and that may concede him a position to Shafalele, which is not what he wants to see. And I think this is rather interesting now. Shafalele into 2nd place. He's got a penalty. That has not helped him at all in the end. But now for Lars, coming through the section, what an awkward time for M-Short and Dynastics being stuck behind Lars for an awkward couple of corners. And of course, he's still going to get DRS as well, so M-Short really will have to have a go into the next corner and really would have to use a lot of what he's got. And you know what? He's not even an advantage here. He's got less than 10%. Lars has got loads. Lars hasn't gone for the overtake. So Lars is just going to concede the position. He knows he's not going to defend it. So he's going to come in this lap, it looks like. But wow, I'm very surprised about that indeed. And pushed wide there by M Short. But M Short now into third place. But he's got to get past Joey this lap as well. So a lot of things to get really done for the McLaren as Chapelele now peels away in the lead of this race.
Yes, he really has got to peel away now, obviously, with that 3-second time penalty, but M Shot's not going to have DRS starting from the next lap. He's going to drop a long way down, obviously being stuck behind Joey. I think we are going to see Joey and Lars come into the pits, and there goes Joey, and there goes Lars following him. So out of what we're expecting to be the top 6 at the end of the race, the current top 3 and Joey, Lars and Cornet, only the 2 Racing Points and M Short keeping it clean at the moment. That is going to be something to watch out. We have seen a few more penalties. Dynastics and Chapelele picking up one. Lakitu, who all of a sudden, with all the different retirements and goings on in this race, finds himself in 4th position. He's a long way off the back of those front 3, and I don't think it'll be too long before he's starting to come under pressure from those soft runners. It might be 10-second gap at the moment back to Joey. That's going to shrink pretty darn quickly. I think Pat's currently in 5th, recovering from that earlier spin. Alpha Faz 6th, Cornet 7th, Joey 8th, Lars 9th, Ginger 10th, and realistically last place as Simon has disconnected, of course. Chapelele's just got to push now. If he doesn't push, he's going to end up finishing 2nd. If he pushes and makes another mistake, he's probably going to end up pulling far enough away from Dynastics anyway, and will still finish 2nd, so he might as well just chuck caution to the wind.
I mean, the positive thing he's got here is that actually Dynastics is on the back of M-Shot, and M-Shot at the moment doesn't look like he's getting DRS anytime soon. If Dynastics pulls on an attack on M-Short and potentially causes these two to lose a lot of time, and also for when the soft tyres towards the end perhaps have a little go, I don't think they will now. There's a hell of a big gap for them to cover in around 13 laps, and obviously not all the laps they're going to be, the soft tyres are going to be quicker than the mediums, but for Chapelele, all he has to do is just hope really that he can get enough time away from M-Short. Perhaps he'll have to have a little bit of aid from his fellow German driver in Dynastics, who will be looking very close to M-Short soon, and M-Short has sacrificed a lot of his ERS to actually get past these medium tyre runners and leaves him fairly compromised, but Dynastics isn't either in that best situation, so I think that one could be a really close battle, and if they do come together, I think it really does benefit Chapelele all the way and no one else. So that's the only thing Chapelele's waiting for, is either a penalty for M-Short or just a little bit of a collision or a big battle between Dynastics and M-Short. And if that happens, he's won this race.
Yes, I mean, at the moment, it's only a 2nd gap, realistically, between M-Short and Chapelele, as I think Ginger has come into the pits. He's putting on a set of these soft tyres. He'll be going on those towards the end, maybe trying to get that fastest lap point, which Cornet currently has at this moment in time. Dynastics really closing in on M-Short, just not enough to go for a dive bomb. And you've got to say, Chapelele looks like he's got the pace at the moment to pull away those couple of tenths a lap he's going to need on M-Short. Cornet closing into Alpha Faz at the moment. Down the inside he goes to get 6th position. And in the background, Joey almost looking like he's going to get past Lars. Look at the gap though. Cornet's pulled out over his teammate. He was behind him, of course. That extra 1 lap, that undercut that he's done, has gained him about 2 seconds. Yeah,
brilliant strategy for Cornet, and Cornet's in a really good position for a good result here. I can easily see him getting past Pat and Lakitu, so a top 4 is definitely likely, and he's got no penalties either, so if he can close the gap enough to Dynastics, and Lakitu actually picks this lap, so Lakitu's in already. Have I got that confused? No, I haven't. Lakitu does come in this lap, which is rather surprising. But mind you, he weren't going to make it to the end, I don't think, on those medium tyres anyway. But yeah, Cornet is in a good position. He's got a good bit of clean air now to get away and just chase after Pat. And after that, it all just depends if he gets a penalty or not, whether he could be on the podium here tonight.
Yes, it's going to be close towards the end of the race. I think those soft tyres are just going to wear out, and he might just end up missing out. But a lot could depend whether Dynastics gets himself another penalty, whether M-Short or Chapelele pick up a couple more. It's going to be very close towards the end of this race. Lakitu, I think, realising that strategy wasn't going to work. He is down in 9th place. And Dynastics has sent one up the inside of M-Shaw into turn 10. He's been waiting for a while. He's finally got close enough. Just that little bit extra VRS maybe helping. And that is Dynastics now up into 2nd place. That's a bit of good news for Shapalele, obviously, that these two have started battling. Faz and Lars now battling over 6th and 7th place. Faz has just got his nose down the inside into turn 13 to try and hold on to that position. But in the end, Lars is in 6th place and starting to catch up to his teammate. Before that action was taking place, I was about to say, Lakitu's gone down into 9th after pitting. Is Pat going to think about whether he has to pit before the end of the race? Because he came in at the same time as Lakitu, of course.
He'll be rather discouraged by it, I think. He's in a good position, but he definitely will concede, well, likely concede, to the 3 soft tyre drivers behind him, being Cornet, Lars, and Joey. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. And oh my goodness, look at the grip difference between those worn medium tyres and those almost fresh soft tyres there. Cornet breaking way later. We have established that he likes to break later than usual, people behind cars, but the grip difference of the soft tyres just makes it more significant. I reckon Cornet will be lining up a move even before the DRS zone nice and quickly on Pat, because at the moment his medium tyres are starting to become a bit of a handful compared to these soft tyres to just keep behind him. Is he going to do that? Because he has braked marginally later, but no, he just sticks behind, and he'll definitely get him, I reckon, on the end of this DRS straight. But he's coming through now. Lars has caught up to him though, frankly, which is interesting. And I think we could be in for a little battle between all these soft tyre drivers towards the end, because Lars has definitely closed in that gap and definitely will be looking to get past Pat as soon as possible.
Yes, maybe into turn 15 where we saw, obviously Shapalele send one down the inside of Cornet earlier on, and there we go. Lars is straight down the inside. Nothing Pat could do about that. He's slightly been forced wide, but Lars was plenty far enough alongside, and now Joey is going to be stuck behind through this entire final part of the lap, and you can just see how much closer he's getting and almost pushing Pat through the penultimate corner. Pat deciding to stay out. I think he's pretty much committed himself to trying to get these mediums towards the end. Whether that is a good idea or not, I'm not so sure. He might well be at risk of a puncture. And Pat's got the DRS as well, but the extra grip that Joey's got should make this a fairly straightforward move. So much later on the brakes, Pat moving maybe slightly under braking there. I don't know if he was expecting Joey to go for the move, but I think it was pretty obvious that the Mercedes was always coming for that gap. That's Joey in 6th, Pat in 7th, and thankfully no damage done.
Yeah, that was a bit awkward. Really, I don't think that was moving under braking. I think he did have the turning point right, but perhaps again he probably just wasn't expecting Joey really to make the move into the corner, I think. And I'm kind of surprised Pat didn't think like that, to be honest, because it should have seemed to be quite inevitable, looking at how different the grip going into the corners of the medium and the soft tyres. So I was kind of surprised Pat didn't just let him go really nice and easy. But I suppose at the end of the day, you're not an F1 car driver for nothing. You do have to battle to get the best performance you can possible. But yeah, these soft tyres really are starting to go on him now, and we could just see this because Alpha Faz is closing up right behind him, and he's got a nasty 7 more laps as well, with Lakitu on fresh softs as well. I think Pat may be considering that he's made the wrong decision here.
If I was Pat, I'd think about coming into the pits. If he pits now, he's admitting he's finishing in 9th place. If he doesn't pit now, he could well get a puncture, probably still finish 9th, and maybe even Ginger would catch him up on the fresher soft tyres. He's got to think about it here. Faz is in his DRS on much fresher tyres. Lakitu has definitely got a good chance of catching him up towards the end of the race. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. At the front of the order, Shapalele 2 seconds ahead of Dynastics, who, if anything, has just closed up a tenth or two to the back of the AlphaTauri, and he's dragging M-Short along with him. M-Short is still just about within that all-important 3-second range at the moment to claim another victory this season, and with Lakitu currently down into 9th place, could well pretty much almost be curtains for the championship chances of Lakitu. Cornet in 4th position. Lars has really closed up to the back of his teammates, so I wonder if we are going to see a swap very shortly between these two. Cornet without the DRS, Lars has got it. It looks like this is going to be a fairly straightforward move. In fact, is Cornet even going to bother about defending from Lars? Straight down the inside he goes, and that is a swap. Racing Point swapping around for 4th and 5th position. So we'll see if Lars can try and catch up to those up ahead. It's going to be a tall order though. He's what, 12 seconds behind Dynastics at the moment, so he's pretty much got to find 2 seconds a lap. Even on fresh soft tyres, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, and I think really it's going to be difficult because the soft tyres are going to go in about 5-6 laps perhaps. For those guys, of course, they've got a little bit few more laps because obviously they're fresh new softs. They've not gone through qualifying, so that's really the benefits. But the thing that's really put them off is the fact that they were not able to stick in the DRS points, which has probably ruined their strategy to potentially win this race. And that has such a major effect, really, when that happens, because if they stuck in the DRS or a humongous DRS train, which we usually see on the we usually talk about really with F1, which is why in F1 it becomes so important. It really does seem to shake up the grid and cause a lot of attacks. But that's not to say these guys on the soft tyres have not had a really good race, to be honest, because really they're pulled away from everyone and are probably going to get the best result they can here now, because I cannot see them getting any more than 4th, 5th and 6th at this point.
Yes, maybe if we see Dynastics or Chappellele get another penalty, that could be where things change. And importantly, Chappellele has just stretched the gap out ever so slightly. 2.6 now ahead of Dynastics. Crucially, 3.1 ahead of M-Short. That is penalty range at the moment. So M-Short has dropped outside of that. Alpha Faz, straightforward DRS pass on those slightly fresher medium tyres, gets his way up into 7th place. And you probably just saw, you can see him there coming around turn 12. Lakitu in the background. He's really closing up to the back of these drivers. And with that penalty, it's going to be difficult to overtake his teammate. We can imagine Pat is going to be easy pickings on those medium tyres. That front right already looks a bit second best. The front left a tyre that really takes the hammering, and you can just see there the camera angle changes and the light shines on it slightly differently. There is a tiny bit of blistering on that front left tyre, and as he locks up, you really get an idea just how much of a hammering they have took at the moment. He's put 16 laps on them. You don't really want to put too many more on them than that, and he's got another 5 laps to go, and that could help those outside the top 3 at the moment. Another penalty for Dynastics. He's now on to 6 seconds. All of a sudden, Lars has only got to find 4 seconds on him. This is going to be pretty close.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think Dynastics here, he's got a bit of a pivotal part to play in this, and I say this because obviously he's not teammates with Chappellele, he's not teammates with Lakitu, but they're all German, so there's a possibility Dynastics will try to help. And as I say that, M-Short gets past Dynastics here into the corner, but Dynastics I don't think is going to leave without a fight. I think he will give it a good go, and he does know that he can still get a podium if he can keep ahead of a 6-second gap, which right now he's doing. So I think he's going to be pushing these last couple of laps, so really don't count him out. But M-Short, look how close he is to that 3-second gap to Chappellele. Very, very close, but all of them are quite drained to the ERS, which means that really raw pace is going to be the main factor, and who has saved their tyres the best. But it's a 3.2 second lead now for Chappellele, but that's really going to fluctuate. I think Chappellele is going to be feeling a little bit anxious with that as well, because M-Short now has got all the clean air. It looks like he's secured the pass for Dynastics for whatever reason. So now it's really about what Chappellele can do at the front.
Yes, it is indeed. Pat has given up now on that set of the medium tyres. Don't know why he didn't come in a bit earlier, because now he's got no chance of being able to catch up to anyone up ahead of him. He should still come out ahead of Ginger, or very close to Ginger, and with the better tyres and arguably better pace. You'd expect him to get ahead, but Pat now in 9th place means he'll definitely get towards the end and doesn't have to worry about any punctures, and I will be surprised if we do see any punctures from any of the drivers in this race. Joey has managed to pick up another time penalty, so he could actually be under a bit of pressure from Alpha Faz at the moment. The gap is 6.8 seconds. The softs are going to be better than the mediums for now, but a slight mistake as the tyres change, and maybe we'll all still see Alpha Faz gain another position. And it does look as though Dynastics has just lost a bit of pace all of a sudden. He was hounding M-Short earlier on, now seems to have just dropped back, maybe pushing the tyres a bit too much earlier on when he was stuck behind M-Short in the dirty air for a couple of laps after the pit stops.
Yeah, and I just really want to gather on Pat. I don't know why his decision was so late. He now has got no chance whatsoever to catch up to Lakitu, and Annoyingly for him, that is ninth place pretty much confirmed, unless any sort of significant mistakes. Leaders easily will get to the end, but look at the gap now. M Short within 3 seconds. Dynastics has not been able to challenge M Short anymore. And I said about the anxious sort of feelings for Shafalele. He's just going to be kind of on the edge right now, knowing that he needs to keep a consistent pace, and perhaps there's a sort of scenario 7 type sort of vibe going on in M Short's head coming into these final laps. But they've really got to conserve their tyres too, because if you look at those 15-lap old tyres from Pats, they didn't look pleasant at all, and because of that, they're going to feel quite awful to drive. So who can withstand this and who's going to win this race is going to be a really, really close one between M Short and Shafalele.
Yes, as Cornet now picks up his first time penalty, so really meaning Lars is the only one of those who's going to have a realistic chance of getting on the podium, and to do that he's going to have to find 2 seconds in 2.5 laps. That is going to be tough. Is this going to be a second race in a row where we see the driver in the lead have penalties and we end up with a McLaren taking a victory? Last week it was Joey with the penalties and Black Phoenix taking the victory. This week Shafalele has a 3-second tie penalty, which at the moment might be enough for M Short to take the place, as Lakitu down the inside of his teammate, down past Alpha Faz. He then takes 7th position. Does need to pull out though a 3-second gap, and again that is going to be tough, especially if Alpha Faz manages to just hang in his DRS. It's going to be so close for the end of the race for first and second. I think Dynastics, unless he picks up another penalty, is going to hang on to that 3rd position, with DRS giving him a big hand down the straight, obviously. Lakitu in 7th. If we assume M Short finishes in 2nd and Lakitu finishes in 7th place, that's 8 points. 8 points in the favour of M Short. That will make the gap 27 points all of a sudden. That's going to be pretty tough for Lakitu to catch up in the batting all 3 races.
Yeah, he will definitely need M Short to either retire from a race. He could just do with a puncher for M Short, frankly, right now. That would be a perfect sort of scenario at the moment. And with M Short probably needed to keep pushing to make sure he sticks within, that's definitely not out of the question. Let's not forget, someone has got a yellow flag for sector 3. Was that Ginger? I do not know. I don't know what the yellow flag was for, whether he spun or something, but who knows. But I think with M Short pushing, there is a significant chance that perhaps a puncher could be possible come the end of this race. But yeah, it doesn't look likely to happen. But really, it's going to be such a close ending really here, and I think there probably is a little bit more to play for than just the victory. I think it's just to play for the championship here, because if that does happen, then Lakitu technically has just closed the gap. And well, it's more about if it's game over for Lakitu come the next 90 seconds perhaps, or it's, you know, it's game on really. So it's a bit more of a 50-50 position now for both drivers.
Yes, we will have to see. We are on to the final lap of the race. M Short there, 2.95 seconds behind Shafalele. If it's that gap at the flag, he will win by 500. So that'll be an extra 4 points. And that will mean that he's 31 points ahead of Lakitu in the championship. And with 3 races to go, that could well be over if he ends up winning the Mexican Grand Prix. Dynastics has dropped a bit further back, but looks as though he is going to be safe. In fact, Dynastics has got a puncture. He's not going to be safe on getting the podium. Dynastics with a front left puncture. All of a sudden, Lars, you've got to say it's a dead certain to get a podium at this moment in time. Have M Short and Shafalele got to be careful. Are either of those drivers going to pick up a puncture?
Watch out that front left through here is going to be really bad. But I think M Short's seeing that. There's a bit of desperacy just to get to the line. Shafalele probably isn't aware right now, or probably may be aware to some certain extent of a puncher, but the locking up on that front left is probably not what M Short needs. But M Short looks more than certain to take another race victory. But I just don't know. This is the 17th lap, and anything can happen. A big lock up on that front left for M Short, which has probably lost him a bit of time. If not, it's actually gained him a bit of time on Shafalele. If he does get a puncher now, this will be very cruel for him to lose the race win. But Shafalele is going to come by and win this race provisionally. But it looks like M Short has got it done and will take another victory this season in the end.
Yes, it's a 6th win of the season for M Short. Shafalele in second. Lars making that alternate strategy work. He's going to come home to take his second podium of the season. Corney, I think with his best finish of the year in 4th. Joey 5th. Dynastics in 6th place at the moment. Lakitu, in fact, Alpha Faz has stolen 6th place by 11 thousandths of a second from Dynastics. That puts Lakitu down into 8th place, so that's even worse for his championship chances. Pat will be safely in 9th place. I think that actually matched his best finish of the season. Managed to get the fastest lap as well for his first point since Monaco. Ginger, another driver picking up his first points since the French Grand Prix, in 10th place at the moment, getting a penalty at the end. Not like he cares. Another victory though for M Short, and I think Chapelele might have actually picked up another penalty towards the end of that race, so in the end it was fairly comfortable.
Yeah, I don't think we noticed that, and I think he'd be kicking himself really to get that extra pen, to put more hate towards him, of course, in this race, to put a bit more annoyance, I suppose is a better word, towards him in this race. And he drove a pretty clean and good race, and it was just unfortunate really with the penalties, but he'll be quite encouraged, I think, now to step on the podium this week and to be pushing forward next week to perhaps even a better result than 2nd place.
Yeah, indeed. Chapelele's best result of the season. Lars' 2nd podium, and M Short with a 6th victory. He is now on 109 points with Lakitu on 77. If M Short beats Lakitu next week, pretty much, the championship will be over with 2 rounds to go. Another victory for M Short. Chapelele getting that extra penalty towards the end. Not like it made a difference, so that original 3 seconds was enough. He'll still be happy though to manage to get some points and a 2nd position. Lars in 3rd. Corney in 4th place. Those drivers doing well from 12th and 13th on the grid. Joey ended up finishing 5th, backing up a decent performance from last week. Alpha Faz, he kept it clean. He gained him 2 places at the checkered flag. Dynastics, apparently it was only in the 70% with the tyres. Very unlucky to get a puncture. Still coming home in the points in 7th. Lakitu in 8th. Pat is 9th with the fastest lap. Ginger rounding out the points. Simon, what could have been for his race if he hadn't have disconnected early on. And Coutinho and Boss both retiring in the pits. It's always the case in America. Penalties, every driver knows it. Penalties are going to end up costing you. And that's what happened tonight. M Short keeps it clean again. Win number 6. Pretty much looking like it's game over for everyone else in the championship.
Yeah, and I think the Lakitu will be a bit discouraged now. He'll feel that now is probably the time to give up on it, and no one else could get the championship. But I think really with what's happened is just another case of consistency, really. And I think it's really fell off Lakitu these last couple of weeks. He seemed to drag in some good results midway through the season, as we've obviously established. He was the first one to win a race other than M Short, and he was the first driver also to beat M Short. But other than that, unfortunately, he's just not really kept the consistency. And although I will say it's probably more consistent than the winners last year, it's not enough really to put on a championship battle. And that's what M Short showed this year. Perhaps people just haven't had really the time really to catch up to M Short. And once again, it looks like we're looking for another early title celebration in the next couple of weeks.
And an early McLaren title celebration again, but it's M Short's been consistent and quick, but he's had 2 pole positions this season. Kalsper definitely had a higher percentage. It's been that cleanliness that is what's done it for him. He doesn't get a lot of penalties, if any, and that's how he ends up picking up various victories.
I've barely seen him get warnings. I think today I looked on his race director. This was around lap 20. He had no warnings at all. That is insane, in my opinion, for a track like this. It just shows how clean some drivers actually tend to be on the penalties and the warnings. And because of that, he's been able to really have that benefit. And we talk about this game and everything, or just PSGL in general. The grids are so close, making things, when you get penalised and penalties for things like this, makes them so important for the drivers because although we saw a 3-second gap between 1st place and 2nd place, but because of penalties and everything, M Short didn't get any, and because this track does see drivers get penalties, it still wasn't enough to get Chapelele, who did win the race on the track, across the line first in the end. So yeah, that's exactly what the problem is, really, is the fact that how close these grids are, and obviously they're not able to just cross. They're able to cross the line first, but just not able to keep it on penalties, which is what's really, really going to be a struggle going forward now for the next couple of races if we are going to see a different driver end up winning the championship other than M Short.
Yes, it does look like it's pretty much over, but you never know what could happen. You never know if there is going to be a slight mistake. We will get then some of our podium sitters in. M Short unfortunately can't make it, but we're going to drag in the man who finished second place today, a first podium of the season, I believe, for yourself, Shapalele. No, actually, a second podium of the season. So close, though, to that first victory.
Is he here?
Shapalele?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
So close to that first podium in the end. So close to that first victory, I should say. Still, though, second place, a good result.
I think we've got a bit of issues.
Yeah, I think we'll come back to.
Now I'm back, I think.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I forgot what my question was now. Like, penalties in the end making the difference, but second place still a very good result for yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. The first one was just simple penalties, and the second one was from pushing to get out of the 3 seconds. So it's a bit disappointing because I dominated, kinda. But yeah.
Yeah, you definitely seem to have a lot of pace, especially once you manage to get ahead of those that were started on the mediums. Do you think that was pretty crucial to try and help you build that gap? Because M Short had been stuck in your DRS train, but as soon as you got ahead of Cornet, you were just able to pull away compared to everyone else.
Yeah, I think all of them let me through a bit. I know Joey, he let me through, and Lars, I don't know. But yeah, it was crucial to get by, and then M Short was stuck. Yeah.
Second podium of the season, your best result of the year. 3 races left in Mexico, Abu Dhabi, and Japan. Do you think you can get onto that top step of the podium? Because you've had 2 pole positions so far, and you took the checkered flag first today, so it shows you definitely do have the pace.
Yeah, all of them are wheel tracks, so I'm hoping for Japan a good result, but the rest are just not even worth practicing.
Sam, do you have any questions for Shapalele?
No.
Well, congratulations on your best result of the season, and who knows, maybe you will get that first win in the final few races.
Thank you.
We'll now bring in the man who finished in third place, getting another podium this season, and I don't think he quite expected to end up being on the podium. I imagine with 1 lap to go, but in the end, Dynastics managed to get a puncture. Lars didn't. Good result from yourself, and a good job to make that alternate strategy work, and again keep it clean.
Yeah, good evening first. But yeah, it was a good race. Finally, get my podium back. A bit unfortunate for Dynastics to get the puncture, but yeah, I've driven my laps. So yeah, good result.
Was it always, when you saw the lower attendance tonight, we were always thinking straight away, I'm going to go for that alternate strategy and just be really quick at the end of the race?
Yeah, I bottled my first 2 runs, so yeah, I'll do the enters on under the car. So yeah, a bit of AOR vibes, but yeah.
Yeah, you are. I think that result actually puts you up into 3rd in the championship at this moment in time. It's been a pretty good season for you, especially the last 5 races. You finished in the top 6 in every single one of them. Do you think you can maybe get that first win? You won in the pre-season race, obviously. Do you think you can get the first win actually in the championship on this game?
Maybe on Japan, I'm really good on that track, so hopefully I can get the win one time this season.
Sam, do you have any questions for Lars?
No questions.
Well, I'll let you head off, Lars, and congratulations again on getting your second podium of the season.
Yeah, thanks for commentating.
No worries. So, Sam, a very close race. Again, we seem to have said this a lot this season. Lots of things happen in that race, yet somehow we've ended up with the same victor.
Yeah, I think it's something that we're pretty clear accustomed to now. I'm pretty sure we're not going to ever see sort of any sort of real major championship battle at this point. I feel like we've just been waiting for it, and the whole hype for the season and everything just seems to get a bit drowned at this point. But really, MShort has just proven once again here to that day that really, if you do be consistent, you'll get somewhere. And he's consistently at the top as well. He's consistent. He doesn't get penalties, and he just ends up raking up all the positions he can possible. And he's consistently at the top. So I think that's the problem really this season. I'm kind of surprised at this level that we don't see a lot of fluctuation of who's leading the championship or who's the leading or the quickest driver, if you get what I mean, each week. Because usually people used to pull out the sort of terms of people like to sweat the game or continuously get better at the game. Which you usually see a lot of different people go up and down all throughout the season and change their abilities and be all sorts where on the grid. And I think we saw that towards the end last season of Ginger, for example. But unfortunately, in that case, it was just too late. And if someone is going to rise up now this season, it's probably just too late, which is really unfortunate, I had to say. But again, MShort from start to finish, he's just remained consistently at the top, and it looks like he's not going to be beaten now.
Yes, it does look as though if he takes a victory, I think even if he just finishes 1 or 2 places ahead of Lakito, he will end up taking the championship next time around at the Mexican Grand Prix. There is still, though, some action from just north of the border from Mexico, obviously here at Austin. F1 is live now with Vasta Racer starting on pole position. A good qualifying session from the German driver. Sparks currently, of course, the championship leader in the F1 tier. He's starting 3rd on the grid, so we'll see what they can do. You've got Austin and Owen taking you through that. The first Mexican race will be tomorrow in the Formula Performance. The lower equal performance tiers are on Thursday. Middle tiers are on Saturday. Or on Sunday, even. I don't know why I said Saturday. They've never been on Saturday. Maybe everyone will be practicing on the Saturday, so you can pop along to their practice sessions if you're really that desperate to see some action. And then obviously the top tiers will be on Monday with ourselves again at 7 p.m. Could well end up being a championship winning race. Thank you to Lars and Shapalele for joining us in the comms box for the interviews. Thank you to Sam for commentating alongside me once again. Thank you also to TRT Esports, who provide the funding for the winners of each of the top tiers. And thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time around for the Mexican Grand Prix, where we could end up seeing the coronation of another McLaren champion here in F3. Good night.